The first time Jack Harlan cried in front of his daughter, he was on his knees in the cereal aisle of the grocery store, clutching a box of the off-brand Frosted Flakes she used to beg for when her mother was still alive. Ellie, 6 years old and already too wise for her sneakers, had tugged his sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, Mommy's not coming back for breakfast." That was 3 years ago. The memory hit him now like a fist to the sternum as he stood outside Willow Creek Elementary, engine ticking cool in the November frost, watching Ellie bounce on her toes beside the crosswalk. "Dad, hurry. Miss Harper said we're doing leaf rubbings today." Jack forced a grin that felt borrowed from someone happier. "Lead the way, Captain." Ellie grabbed his hand, her palm warm, sticky with excitement, and dragged him across the painted lines. Jack's boots crunched salt and dead leaves. He hadn't stepped inside a school since his own graduation, and the smell of floor wax and cafeteria tater tots punched him straight back to being 17 and invincible. He hated it. Inside room 2B, 22nd graders swarmed like bees around a hive of construction paper. At the center stood a woman with auburn hair twisted into a knot that looked one sneeze away from collapse. She wore a denim dress and scuffed red cowboy boots, and when she laughed at something a kid said, the sound floated over the chaos like a ribbon. Ellie let go of Jack's hand and bolted. "Miss Harper. This is my dad." The woman turned. Green eyes, freckles like cinnamon on cream, and a smile that hesitated the exact second it registered the exhaustion carved into Jack's face. "Mr. Harlan," she said, extending a hand dusted with crayon shavings. "Ellie talks about you non-stop. Says you can fix anything with duct tape and a prayer." Jack shook her hand. Her grip was firm, calloused at the base of her fingers, gardener's hands, he thought, or someone who climbed trees with kids. "Jack's fine. And Ellie exaggerates. I once fixed her bike with a paperclip." Prayer was optional. "Miss Harper, Claire," she told him later, laughed again, softer this time, like she was testing the air between them. Jack felt the laugh in his ribcage, a small earthquake he hadn't braced for. He meant to leave after drop-off, but Ellie begged him to stay for the leaf project. Claire handed him a crayon the color of dried blood and a maple leaf veined like an old man's hand. Their fingers brushed. Static sparked. Jack spent 20 minutes rubbing wax over paper while Ellie narrated every detail of her life since kindergarten roundup. When the bell rang, Claire touched his elbow. "Parent-teacher conferences are next Thursday. Ellie's doing great, but I'd love to talk about enrichment. She's hungry for more than the curriculum offers." Jack nodded, throat dry. "I'll be here." He wasn't sure why he said it. That night he burned spaghetti sauce and let Ellie eat cereal for dinner. She didn't complain. She never did. "Daddy, do you think Miss Harper likes us?" Jack froze with a dish towel in his fist. "She's your teacher, Elle. She has to like you." "No, I mean like. Like Mommy liked you." The towel slipped to the floor. Jack's knees followed. He pulled Ellie into his lap even though she was getting too tall for it. Her hair smelled like paste and playground mulch. "Sweetheart, grown up like is complicated." Ellie twisted to look at him, eyes solemn. "Mommy said complicated just means you're scared." Jack's laugh cracked in half. He tucked her into bed with the stuffed giraffe missing one eye, Sarah's last gift before the cancer took her, and stood in the hallway until the house stopped spinning. Thursday arrived with sleet hissing against the windows. Jack wore the same flannel he'd worn to Sarah's funeral because it was the only clean shirt without a stain. Claire waited in the classroom after the other parents left, 2 mugs steaming on her desk. "Hot chocolate," she said. "Ellie says you live on coffee, but I figured we'd compromise." Jack took the mug. Their fingers didn't brush this time, he made sure of it. They talked about Ellie's reading level, her obsession with constellations, the way she drew hearts around every capital letter E. Claire's voice was steady, kind, but Jack caught her watching him when she thought he wasn't looking. Finally she closed the folder. She misses her mom in ways she can't name yet. But she talks about you like you hung the moon. That's rare. Jack stared into the dregs of his cocoa. I'm hanging on by a thread most days. Silence pooled. Outside, the sleet thickened. Claire spoke first. I lost my dad when I was 9. Car accident. My mom remarried a man who thought love was a 4-letter word. I learned early that grief doesn't come with a syllabus. Jack looked up. Her eyes were wet, but her chin was steady. I'm not asking you to be fixed, Jack. I'm asking if you'd let Ellie enter the science fair. She wants to build a solar system model. I have supplies, but she says her dad's the best at making things spin. He laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. I can manage spin. The solar system took over the dining room table. Styrofoam balls, wire hangers, and glow-in-the-dark paint turned their house into a planetarium. Claire came over on Saturdays with pizza and patience. Jack told himself it was for Ellie. But he noticed things, the way Claire hummed Old Johnny Cash while she painted Saturn's rings, how she kicked off her boots at the door and lined them beside his like they belonged. Ellie started calling her Miss Claire at home, then just Claire, and Jack didn't correct her. One night, after Ellie crashed mid-glue stick, Claire found Jack on the back porch staring at the frostbitten garden Sarah had loved. She planted tulips, he said without turning. Every fall. Said they were proof winter didn't win. Claire stood beside him, breath fogging. My mom stopped planting after Dad died. I was 15 before I touched dirt again. Jack's hands curled around the porch rail. I swore I'd never, his voice cracked. Sarah made me promise if anything happened, I'd keep living. But living feels like betrayal. Claire's shoulder brushed his. Living isn't betrayal. It's continuation. He looked at her then, really looked. Moonlight silvered the tears on her cheeks. Without thinking, he wiped one away with his thumb. Her skin was cold, alive. Inside, the dryer buzzed. Ellie's pajamas. Normalcy. Jack stepped back. I should. Yeah, Claire whispered. Me too. Winter hardened. Jack threw himself into work, fixing tractors, welding gates, anything to keep his hands busy and his mind blank. Claire's texts lit his phone like matches. Ellie aced her spelling test, found a Jupiter that doesn't look like a meatball, you still owe me a rematch at Scrabble. He answered in monosyllables. Ellie noticed. You're being weird again, Daddy. I'm not weird. I'm cautious. That's what old people say when they're scared. He couldn't argue with second-grade logic. The science fair fell on a Friday in February, the gym transformed into a galaxy of cardboard and glitter. Ellie's solar system won honorable mention, which she declared better than first place because it's mysterious. Claire beamed like a proud aunt. Jack stood in the back, arms crossed, pride and terror duking it out in his chest. After cleanup, Claire cornered him by the folding tables. We need to talk. Jack's stomach dropped. Ellie okay? She's perfect. This is about us. There is no us. The words tasted like rust. Claire's eyes flashed. You don't get to decide that alone. Parents streamed past, oblivious. Jack lowered his voice. I'm a mess, Claire. I wake up reaching for a woman who's been gone 3 years. I can't offer you. I'm not asking for a savior. I'm asking for a chance. He looked at her, really looked again, and saw the same raw hope he'd buried under flannel and grief. His hands shook. I'm terrified, he admitted. Me too. Spring arrived sideways, with thunderstorms that flooded the creek behind the house. Jack found Claire in the garden one Saturday, knee-deep in mud, planting tulips from a paper sack labeled Sarah in Ellie's careful print. What are you doing? Continuing, Claire said, not looking up. Ellie helped me pick the bulbs. Said her mom would want color. Jack's throat closed. He knelt beside her, took a bulb. The papery skin felt like a promise. Together they pressed it into the earth. That night, after Ellie was asleep, Jack found Claire on the porch swing. He sat without asking. The chains creaked. I used to think love was a lightning strike, he said. One hit and you're done. But maybe it's more like seasons. Claire leaned her head on his shoulder. Tulips don't bloom if you forget to water them. He turned, cupped her face. The kiss was clumsy, teeth bumping, both of them laughing through it. When they pulled apart, foreheads touching, Jack whispered, I'm not fixed. Good, Claire said. I like under construction. Summer brought fireflies and scraped knees. Jack built a treehouse with a crooked door because Ellie insisted fairies needed wonky architecture. Claire painted the inside walls with constellations. They took turns reading bedtime stories, voices overlapping like harmonies. One August evening, Jack found Ellie on the porch steps, chin in hands. What's up, Captain? I'm glad you stopped being scared. Jack sat beside her. Who says I'm not? You held Claire's hand at the fireworks. Scared people don't do that. He ruffled her hair. Maybe I'm practicing brave. Ellie looked up, eyes shining. Mommy would like her. Jack's heart flipped. Yeah. She would. Fall again. The tulips exploded in red and yellow, a riot Sarah would have photographed until her phone died. Jack proposed in the garden at dusk, ring in a matchbox because jewelry stores overwhelmed him. Claire cried so hard she hiccuped yes. Ellie demanded to be flower girl and ring bearer because equality. The wedding was small, 20 people, potluck, fairy lights strung through the treehouse. Jack wore the same flannel, now pressed. Claire walked down the aisle in her mother's lace and those red cowboy boots. When the justice of the peace said, "You may kiss," Ellie yelled, "Finally," and everyone laughed until they cried. Years later, when Ellie brought home her first college boyfriend, Jack watched from the kitchen window as Claire taught the kid how to plant tulips. The boy was nervous, hands shaking. Claire's voice carried, "Roots need room to grow, but they also need something steady to hold on to." Jack smiled, poured 3 glasses of lemonade, and joined them in the dirt. Love, he'd learned, wasn't a lightning strike or a season. It was the quiet choice to keep planting, even when your hands blistered and the forecast called for frost. Hey, if this story wrecked you in the best way, smash that like button. It tells YouTube to share more love stories like Jack, Claire, and Ellie's. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next one. Drop a comment. Have you ever been afraid to love again? Let's talk about it. See you in the next video.